Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon. I told you all I'm home for the summer. So through the summer, we will highlight Liberians, young Liberians, old Liberians, but Liberians who are impacting their community in the diaspora and the community back home. I will quote this quote starting up with Mandela. Mandela said to all of us in all of his story, your most important wealth is your people, the generation to come, the leadership to come, that you should invest in them. So we need to highlight and look at people who are investing in the mind and the shaping of our community, both here and home. You know, we ask majority of time, what have you done? What do you do this? What do you do that? And majority of the time, those who are actually going on the ground, getting their hands dirty, investing in our children, educating them for them to be competitive, especially into this technological environment and global village. Liberia will not be able to compete in the coming years as far as things are changing in the technological arena. Excuse me, my English this morning, right? So we have two young people here this morning that I'm bringing on. Guys, share the video. And one thing we have got to learn to highlight, we have got to get to highlight knowledge as an asset that will not be diminished, because these young people have learned, and what they've learned, they're impacting Liberians. Even if they impact 10, and I know they're not impacting 10, those 10 will impact 10 family, and that 10 family will impact 100 family. That 100 family will go for generations. There is a saying out there that says, if you want to make a plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you want 10 years, plant tree. If you want hundreds of years, educate your environment. So please welcome to Second Thought, Mr. Rodney Boley and Dr. Sylvia Boley. Good afternoon, Mr. and Mrs. Boley. Please say something to the audience. You are muted.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon.
Thank you for having us, Jan.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Guys, please share the video. This is good news. This is actually great news. So I would ask that you really share the video. So let's start up. First of all, how the morning going?
It's going busy, but well.
Busy. Great.
Yeah,
Great.
so
Great.
far, so good.
Yeah.
It's another good day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you, Rodney. So tell us about yourselves, each of you, if at all.
Okay.
Who is Randy? Who is Dr. Boley?
Oh, okay. He said ladies first. Well, my name is Dr. Sylvia Boley, formerly Dr. Sylvia Gonson, and I'm a first generation Liberian American. I was born in the US, but very close to my Liberian roots. Both of my parents are from Liberia, West Africa, and they really raised me with a sense of home, a sense of pride. And I was fortunate then after my education and everything to meet this handsome Liberian man. And he is my husband, and we have 2 children. And we also run a STEM laboratory, which is why y'all invited us here in Liberia, West Africa. It provides free STEM support to high school students in the Monrovia area. So that's just the short version, and I'll let Rodney speak.
Yeah. Thanks again, yeah, for the opportunity. My name is Rodney Bodie, born and raised in Liberia. Did most of my educational years in Liberia, high school especially, and then I was opportune to come to the States and go to school. And so I have my undergraduate degrees, both in computer engineering and electrical engineering. I have a master's in telecommunications, and I'm currently pursuing another master's and hopefully toward a PhD in I'm interested in artificial intelligence, so I'm at Johns Hopkins pursuing that degree. And my day job, I do some work researching how to intersect our current 5G with low orbit satellite to provide continuous coverage anywhere, anytime. So, and together, my wife and I are working on this STEM project in Liberia that we hopefully will talk more about.
Wow. That 5G will be another topic I would like to call you back here to discuss with us.
Oh, Lord.
You and Justin and Unico, because he's into telecommunication, because we're alarmed, seriously. So we're going to focus on basic computer today, and we'd love to have you back to kind of educate our people because we're alarmed. That's the training issue. So let's talk about this a little bit. Okay. Tell us about the quality of education. How did you both come about starting a lab in Liberia, and what was the motivation?
Right. So at the very bottom, the motivation stemmed from our own background as having parents who give us their all to help us get a better education. And so 2 years back, when we first heard that news of 25,000 high school students failing the LU entrance,
Right.
That was something that really caught our attention, and so I traveled back. So I traveled back home, and I audited some high school classes, and part of what was lacking there was in the quality. Number one, the quality of the education, and then number two was the examples that were being used in the textbook. So so pretty much you have Western examples being used in textbook to convey complex ideas to the kids. And so we saw the need to be able to want to change that whole paradigm and, provide an education that was much more accessible to children in Liberia. So we decided on a twofold approach. Number one, provide a laboratory wherein students are able to have hands-on approach and touch actual equipment, see microscope, mix chemicals, perform physics experiment, while at the same time incorporating things from their environment. So for example, in physics, one of my favorite examples, physics usually talk about a billiard board when they talk about impulse and momentum. Mm-hmm. The concept of a billiard board is not something that most Liberian kids can relate to, but if you replace that with saying using two marbles, for example, you have two marbles hitting each other, you can drive the same concept as well that the physics experiment is trying to convey. So we wanted to bring about this approach wherein the educational system integrated the cultural experience of the people who were being taught. And so the larger picture we will touch on later in terms of what we are doing, but so in short, that was pretty much why that was pretty much where it stemmed from. So
yeah, for me, you know, I again was blessed to be educated here in the U.S. I was a biology major in undergrad, and then I went to medical school here at the George Washington University. So I really saw the benefit of education and how it could shift your whole life. And when in 2007, so just after the Civil War, I went back and I worked at Fendel campus, and I did a qualitative analysis, just looking at how the war had impacted the science education there, the STEM education for the undergraduate students. And it was just amazing to just see how the lack of having access to laboratory, because the labs were looted, and how the having access to that, how that really impacted their ability to understand or to convey difficult ideas. So once we thought about this and Rodney brought that up, we were like, what do they need? They need a lab, because how can you learn about the human body and you never do dissections of animals? Or how can you learn about all these things in biology? Most of us who have gone to school elsewhere, we're used to that, dissecting the frog, doing those things like that, and to never, or using a microscope even. So to never really be able to do that and try to learn science and do math is so difficult. So that is part of the motivation. Just wanting everyone, I think everyone in the world, and especially in Liberia, deserves the right to have these experiences to really enhance their education.
Wow, God shared a video. This is very touching. Wow, we're getting the story behind the story. So Rodney went home and came back, made some comparative analysis, environmental analysis, and decided that we would customize our curriculum to kind of what the kids in that particular environment can relate to. And then that's some of the things that we talk about. We say we're smart, we're intelligent, but we can't compete with something we don't know, that we can't relate. Mm-hmm. So that particular example that Dee gave is great. And so let's go back to your beginning. And Sylvia went to Liberia. She had her hands on, understood the environment, the analysis of the environment, compared with what she has here, how we can all kind of compete, or how we can bring our children to that place to understand. So let me ask you, how long have you guys been around? And great story, by the way. How long have you been around?
Thank you. So so officially we've been around, approaching our 4th year. Unofficially, we've been around for 5 years. So for the first year, we did a trial run with one school in the Simcoe area, just to vet out the idea. And so after that first year, we decided we wanted to provide this access to many more students than the one school we were working with. And therefore, we relocated and scaled the program to provide access to now well over students within the Simcoe area.
Okay, so what is the, if you can elaborate? I know I heard you all the other day talking about your success rate. How did you do in the first year, and what encouraged you to continue? Has there been any shift since you all started?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So in order to properly answer that, I will take a step back a little bit. So the overall goal of our program, of the Institute of Basic Technology, is to be able to find some objective way of measuring success in Liberia. And so the fundamental question we started out with was, how do you educate somebody who's somebody in a socioeconomically challenged environment? What does it mean to educate somebody in poverty? And to properly understand that we decided to measure 7 different factors that impede education in any environment. So right now we are in Liberia, but in any environment. So we look at the impact of the parents' education, specifically the moms, the impact of vocabulary on reading comprehension. That's something that we look at. The impact to having logistics or reading materials, study materials that you can use to continue to further your study, having food, some form of snack as part of your daily schooling. So so these are some of the factors we started to measure. And so one of the things that we saw was that if the mom was educated, at least at a high school level, or even better, that had a strong correlation with the kind of progress, at least from 10th to 12th grade, in terms of the kind of progress that you will see in the school. So, so one of the things we tried to communicate with the schools that we work with was to make sure that the moms of each of these students was involved in some way in the students' learning. So whether it be by PTA, for example, making sure that moms are part of PTA and that sort of thing, it helps with keeping the students grounded. So, so that's basically, those are the metrics we use for success. So when we first started off in 2017, unfortunately, it was still dismal. And that's, by the way, this is a BT staff out there with
Your internet is a little unstable.
You guys are not there anymore. Abraham's and that, Pop Amos, all of you guys are the reason why I think it's success. Weakness was, and then pretty much the world 2018 academic year, when the WASP was first introduced in the country, we saw mass failure across the country at F's in just about every science subject. And waiting seniors at the time to understand what the impediments were on the test. And one of the biggest things they highlighted was the words that were being used on the test. Some of them were strange, and therefore the reading comprehension was impeded. And so we decided to work on that, where in addition, every day the students will get new work. And so what we saw this past academic year, the same schools where we have all of these Fs left from Fs to As, so they went from, everybody having some F or poor grade, and now they all performed. They were among the top performers in the country this year, this past academic year in the WATS. That's from the Apostolic School that's right there by Bamona, to George E. Salmon. So we have various schools within the community that started to, show dramatic improvement, 95 percentile improvement in the schools, and they even recognize our institution for that. So we are beginning to build on that trend. We have about 20% of our graduating seniors either in LU or some vocational school now. And we even have one of the kids who graduated 2 years ago who wanted to be a writer, release his first manuscript. And so we are working to try to get him published on Amazon as well. So that's some of the progress we've made so far.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wow.
So I agree. I think you said a lot.
That you want to add? I want to get your point of view here. You want to add?
Key thing is just knowing, especially for people who are starting projects.
Go ahead. We're listening.
Oh, sorry. No, I was just saying, I think the key thing, Rodney said pretty much everything, but it's just knowing, especially for people who are just starting in Liberia, not to get discouraged, because just as we saw, the first year may not go as planned. Like, we partnered with one school that didn't work, but then we actually ended up helping more people by being able to move it out of one school, and instead we could grow to 600 students. The other thing is, okay, initially we were just so focused on science, but if you don't have the basic English language skills, you can't really do well on the wax and do well on the testing. So once we added the English comprehension skills to our science and understanding our science teaching, that then led to the 95 percentile pass rate on our wax the next year. So it's just about constantly learning and evolving and not getting discouraged along the process. Because I know I hear a lot of people when they want to do something like here, oh, but this person did this person did that, those people. You can't focus on that. You have to stay focused on your goal and the good people that you're trying to help.
Wow. So first thing first, the both of you, from your own standpoint, when you did a feasibility study to some degree, you came back, you collected data, or you went back, collected data, studied that data, analyzed it, compare it with other countries around us and where they are considering their socio-economic issue. Because Brandy talk about people trying to learn in a poverty environment. How do you get them involved? How do you get parents involved? You also look at a different demographic. Are they out of high school? Do they have parents that are out of high school? Can the parents read? Can these kids read? So you kind of customize it where it's not one size fit all. And then you went back, recalibrated when you saw that even with all the sciences that you were given, they still needed English as an addition, actually as a building block to elevate themselves. Great job. Guys, share this video. These are some of the things we need to air, we need to reflect on and see. So let's go to number 4. What is your 5 year now? So I don't know if they're short term, but there's still a year into this. We are going into an AI environment, so to speak, I would say, where now technology is taking over. We can't see each other. We can't go to church. Church is in your house, on your computer. You're already doing that. So what's about your everyday student who had to come on campus to be able to get educated? What are the provision? What is the long-term or the short-term for them to get them back to school? What's your short-term plan and then the long-term, if you would?
So right now, the short answer is we are still following the updates from the Ministry of Education, because that will largely determine what we do. But right now, we also have protocols in place that if we were to open next week, so we have 2 barrels at the entrance that, there will be a mandatory washing of hands. Everybody will be temperature checked at the entrance as well. And masks will be required prior to entering the building. We are also working with the schools to see how, if we need to do distance learning, not distance learning, if we need to do social distancing, what that will look like within our premises. So basically, that will mean trying to spread the students out a bit more, because some of the classes can be quite large, especially for the 12th grade. I mean, we've gotten 12th grade classes where you have more than 100 students in one class. So it can be quite challenging to try to space them out and still teach effectively. So that's something that we are looking to do after COVID, once the ban on gathering is lifted. That's something that we are looking to put in place. But the long-term mission of
before we get there, but what we did in the short term, because she was asking about COVID. So what we did during this short term, Once again, our our mentors, which is what we call the teachers there, have been awesome, and they have actually been using telephone, because even though you're right, the poverty levels are high and everything, it seems like everyone can find access to a telephone. So we've been doing, during the COVID time, having teleconference, telephone teaching, just using more of an auditory component. One of the things we've been exploring is, then you're right, if we're not able to gather in the way, the traditional sense, how can we do some distance learning in a poverty sense, in a poverty environment or impoverished environment, I'm sorry. So we were looking at using, we do have laptops, so how could we get laptops to the students and maybe do some remote, more visual interactive learning as well. So those are the things that we're looking for in terms of this short term, if we do have to use more of the technology. But that is definitely part of our goals, is to see how can we expand upon the current education system and use technology more wisely. So what we have access to is phones now, and they're not all smartphones. So we can do more auditory learning, and then the goal be able to maybe even have central places where students can gather and learning with social distance. So does that answer your question? Yeah, I think that's what you were kind of getting at.
It does, but let's break it down a little, okay? Because when you say auditory learning, what does that mean? The simplest term that every person, you know, my auntie will be able to understand.
Sure. I'm sorry. When I say that, I mean just listening. So listen on the phone, we don't have anything that you can look at, nothing visual. Like, you know, when we are doing this Zoom call, you're learning, right? But you're learning because you're looking at us. So people who learn by looking, they're getting information that way. You're learning by typing in, by that we call that kinesthetic learning, because you're interacting, you're engaging. So people who learn better by doing very well just for listening. So when we look at teaching or educating people, we need to look at what are the different kind of learners and how can we use different modalities, use different ways of reaching people. So that's what I mean. So when I auditory, it's just listen. So you only listen, lose some people because some people don't learn well just by these. They need that interactive piece, like when we do the actual labs or when you actually are typing in, when you're answering questions, engaging. So that's what I mean.
Thank you so much.
And to just add to, to just add to what Sylvia, and it was good that you brought that up. And to just add to what Sylvia said, you know, most of the students in Liberia have those technophones. So anybody who's used this technophone knows has been one of the challenges. So providing an online platform is one thing, but provide the access to it is where the struggle is, you know, because you know, like Sylvia said, we need the smartphone to begin with, and then you have to contend with the whole issue of data, you know, because if you need to be able to, the students need to be able to afford that whatever that monthly plan of data is to be able to access video, because video takes a lot of data, and so if you have to do all of these are the things you have to keep in mind. So we came up with this whole thing of auditory learning, since at least with doing a voice call, we are the ones initiating the call. So for the most part, it really doesn't penalize the student anyway for them calling in. And so we conference call certain amount of students in, and then because part of what we did prior to COVID was they had printed materials. Normally we print out wax exam copies from previous years for them to study. And so we were fortunate enough that some of these students already had those copies. And so, so basically what our mentors would do, we'll call them up and then conference call about 4 of them on the call and then walk them through different concepts that way. So right now, that's the most cost-effective way we are getting around all of this right now and keeping the students engaged while we are waiting for us to be able to meet in person again.
Wow, thank you. So something I wanted you to highlight a little bit. And there are a lot of people who are looking into going to Liberia to help because of the educational challenges. You talk about creating a platform, online platform is one thing, but the availability, can you elaborate on that a little bit so people can understand some of the challenges, even with you or who are technologically inclined?
Yeah, uh, so for example, the access, and our institution put out a brief article a few weeks ago on access, and there are two components there that could be potential hindrances to online platform is the whole thing of access and also apathy. The apathy aspect is since most students aren't, like Sylvia said, auditory learners, so most of the time, because it's so impersonal, they tend not to be engaged for a long time over an extended phone conversation. On the access portion, data in Liberia, so I think, so for example, a monthly data with Cellcom or Orange, for example, it runs you about $35 per month. Now, while that might sound like a small number here for some people, that's a big number for a lot of people back in Liberia. So students will have to have that ability wherein they can have the phone charged with this amount of data every month. And from the engineering perspective there, if you were to now, move from just talking about the voice call to adding pictures or video, that takes a lot of what you would call, it takes a lot of bandwidth. It demands a lot of bandwidth. So if you were to think about a water pipe between you and the person, so if you think of the pipe like a small pipe for voice, video would demand about 5 to 6 times more of that pipe, and therefore that takes a lot more of your data, and therefore you're going to have to spend a lot more, as a poor student using your phone to be able to access that online platform. And if your phone is not a smartphone, then like the Techno phone I mentioned, for example, you won't be able to access it even if you have the money for data. So access is a huge thing that needs to be addressed in order for the whole online piece to work. And like Sylvia said, we one of the things that we are hoping to do a few times and some time from now is to look at the possibility, not right now, but look at the possibility of, adding more computers or smartphones into our program. So God forbid, but if something like COVID ever happens again, we can find a way to circumvent that by either provide them as a way to provide them with ways to be able to access the platform. But right now, data is a huge issue because it's expensive and most students don't have smartphones.
Okay, thank you, thank you. Let me, and we'll come back because there's a lot of information that you need to give out, especially and I'm sure a lot of parents in Liberia in the diaspora, either it say your bandwidth is low, so you're coming in and out. So your network bandwidth is a little low, so I'm not sure what's going on. And that's the engineer bandwidth that low, or you need to but that's fine. But on the serious note, I'm concerned. A lot of people are concerned. A lot of family are concerned. In fact, we had a conversation. I had a conversation with Dr. Francine, who does what do you call it, curriculum, right? And people are asking people to help. But speaking to the both of you, you didn't design help from the far. You went on the ground. You did your own assessment.
You broke out just a little bit.
Okay. So let me come back. All right, give me 1 second. Yeah, you guys are kind of in and out. I'm gonna let you come on a little bit. Okay, here you are. So hopefully you can hear me. I said there are a lot of us that are concerned. There are a lot of people that are concerned. People are reaching out from different organizations to see how they can help the educational system or the quality of education in Liberia. But I'm saying that you went underground. you did your own feasibility study, you collected data over the years, and you're still collecting data. I'm looking because you just told us the update on your students, how well they perform initially, how well they perform in less than 3 years, like 95% percentile. So that's astronomical. So that's growth. But other people are looking to invest in. Now, let's say, how do and how what would you tell those who, besides just say going, what would you tell them? Because you are talking about customization. You didn't talk about one size fit all. There's no from best to anything here, or one size fit all, or cut and paste. This is customized education to our environment. What would you advise other people? Because I know you alone can't do it. So there are 5 million people, okay? Right. And what would you advise to other people, or give any information that will also help them along the way? Then we'll talk about you thereafter, because we need more information from you. I know you said some things we're going to come back to. This is your area, so you can bring us in and let the people who are watching understand. What would you advise?
Yeah, I think
on the same route.
So I think the key thing is to understand what exactly you are trying to address, and that's part of the reason we wanted to take a step back and say, what does it mean to educate somebody into it? Poverty is a big word. It catches a lot of different things, right? So right. Meaning, a little girl coming to school in a torn clothes might have enough food at home, for example. So what might be impacting her? It may not be food. So you want to be able to understand what exactly is the impediment, define what is impeding her education, and then direct whatever investment you have toward that specific thing, or else you may be giving her new clothes but see no improvement in her academic performance. Or you might be buying her books and and tutors, for example, but still see no dramatic improvement in her education. So, okay. I would say is to understand the students or the person you want to invest in and work with, and understand precisely what the impediment is for you to be able to properly work with them. So one of the things that we are using with all of this data that we are collecting, the eventual thing that we are going to do toward the end of our official 5th year is to come up with a predictive software. So basically what the software will be able to learn from all of the information we put in. And so, for example, somebody sitting in the home here in the States can say, okay, I want to support a girl who's from a single parent home. Her mom is a market woman. She has 5 siblings, for example, and she's in 10th grade. If I were to invest in just giving her books, for example, that's all I do, how will she fare academically between 10th to 12th grade? So that's something that we are working on to be able to predict. Without you ever spending a dime, you can sit from your computer and simulate that students' academic trajectory through 10, 11, and 12, and you'll be able to see that if you provided just books to this generic student you built on your computer, how well she's going to fare. So it's the kind of understanding that we want to be able to have so that we are smart with the limited resources we have, and we are making the most impact for our limited. So in a nutshell, I would say understand the environment you are going into and understand the precise impediment, and then invest in that one and go on from there.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's really well said, Rodney. So I think, a lot of times when we're trying to help people, we want to just do what we think they need, right, rather than actually asking what do they need and then meeting that need. So one of the things I think I've learned from this process, and I'm still learning personally and professionally, is to really ask the person that you're giving, what do you need? And the way that we do that from an educational or from a professional perspective is that we collect information, we collect data. So I think that's very important. I also think collaboration is important as well. A lot of times, you know, especially I see in the diaspora and in the African community, everyone wants a name for themselves, and I hope I don't step on people's toes. So
please go
people
ahead.
want to do
Please
things
do.
separately, but there's a lot of but a house divided cannot stand, right? So we are much stronger. A cord of 3 chords is stronger. So we are much stronger if we work together. So rather than, so one of the things I like about this approach, and I credit Mr. Bolu with it, is the idea that we are not a school. We are not a school. We didn't go in creating another school, because there actually is not an issue with having a school. I think it actually is that the resources are spread so thin amongst the existing schools. So it's not to build one better school that makes it just help a few more students here. The idea is that you can be a support and you can pool the resources and help many more schools, help many more people. So our vision for this would be that we don't just have one in Monrovia, but we have one in every county throughout Liberia, in every community, that they have a centralized lab that they can go to. And maybe that lab will be the superior lab in that environment, so that they have access to all the latest and greatest tools, as opposed to, you know, someone is sponsoring a lab in this one school and only that school has resource, or only that school has it. So I think what I would really say is that as you're looking to invest, as you're looking to think how can you get the most out of your money? How can you help the most amount of people? And I think it goes back to what Rodney is saying. If you want to just help one student, then that's your goal. And then make sure you ask that student, how can I help that one student? But if your goal is, how can I make a legacy? How can I get the most out of this that will last on and on? That may come better from collaboration and really thinking, not just doing one thing for one person, and think about your motivation and why you're doing what you're doing. Is it for other people or is it for yourself? And I know that's a touchy subject, but I think it's very important, because that's the way that we will grow as a country and as a community and really see lasting change that outlives us.
We're not ready for call yet. Peter Quiver is calling. Peter, are you calling to make an import? I am. Would you like for me to call you back? Okay, I will. We will be taking call in a brief movement. In about 10 minutes, we'll be taking call. I just lost my train of thought because I took that how you call it. But let me ask this question, then I'll give you an opportunity and take it away and see what you think people need to know, because you are in a field and this is your thing. Now you say at your 6-year mark, you will be doing something. Will you have enough data pool for you to be able to do that analysis, okay, to come out with something that will help for the future? Will you, at this point, do you have enough data? Dr. Bole, Mr. Bole?
So that's a good, so that's a good point, right? So we are collecting data, and thankfully we have been averaging at least, been averaging 500 students. So we, to date, last year and this year, we have a little over 600. So from a statistical perspective, over a 5-year period, if we continue to average this many students, we should have data that is statistically reliable. Because even now, what we currently have, the 3 years worth of data we currently have, what it has shown us that, again, one of the things that highlighting this again, is the mom's education. So this was something that I didn't know going in, but when we started to analyze, and I have a good friend of mine who helps with the analysis, Mr. David Snowgrass. But going in, one of the things we started to understand from this was when we started to look at mom's education. So we saw that regardless of how much the dad was educated, if mom had a little bit of education, high school level, college dropout, if mom had a little bit of education, we started to see incremental progress in what the student performance was compared to students who had educated father and uneducated mom. And you trace that back, if you go back a step further, you one of the reasons has to do with the language you speak at home. So if your mom is not educated, you most likely, because since your mom is the one who most of the time, you most likely will either speak Pidgin English at home or you speak your local dialect at home. And what that means for your vocabulary level is it's limited because it's not contributing to your vocabulary level. And then therefore, your reading comprehension is low. On the other hand, if mom is somewhat educated, she's speaking English to you at home, it's likely that she will use some words that you don't know and therefore can increase your vocabulary bank and therefore your reading comprehension improves, which we see with, which is what we are seeing with these students 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. So in the evaluation, a test, because every year we evaluate each student on somewhat consistent basis. I say somewhat because the data is not completely fine-tuned yet until we can get to the 5-year mark. But what we have started to see is that these students with educated moms at some level comparatively do well in those tests, 10, 11, and 12, 10, 11, and 12 grade. So yes, toward the end of the 5-year, when we have all of those data from a statistical standpoint with a margin of error, we should be able to objectively say that student A, if he didn't do anything, how they will fare versus student B, you know, and what exactly you can do, or what specific area you can touch, for example, that you can see some jumps in the academic performance. So yeah, so we will be able to hold it stand by the analysis, by the data, once we hit the 5-year mark.
Thank you so much. And this, guys, I think I talk about this all the time. That's one of my favorite pep talk from Malcolm X. When a society with educated women, the society will be educated. And I think Randy brought it home because the mother is the one who stays home. The mother is the one who nurtures. The mother is the one, even if the father was so educated, right, if the mom is not educated, it impacts the home or the children. So, and I will play that at the end because I always, when I talk about women, I like to talk about that because Malcolm X amplified that and you just added your voice to that, which actually makes me feel very happy. And that's why, for me, that's what I speak for women and children, for a better society. So that just amplify what we're saying to our community and to our people, that educate your girls. Get them, educate your girls. We have a beautiful, smart, educated, warm, educated woman on this platform. Look at her. Everything that there is, and she's getting. I mean, I'm serious. No disrespect to the men. They were made automatically from the society that we come from, that they're going to get education. So that's the point I'm making. Dr. and Mr. and Dr. Bully, talk to us about what would you want for the diasporan community to do? You talk about collaboration. Are you open to that? Because people are contacting me saying they saw your podcast. I shared your podcast from the other day. I say that you also were highlight on, I think it's called Build Africa magazine. Yeah. So talk to us about that. How did that come to fruition? How all of that happened?
The Building Africa?
Yeah, the article about Build Africa or Building Africa.
Oh, right. Right. So, so the primary goal of Building Africa is to be able to provide a platform to network different Africans, whether in the diaspora or on the continent, that are doing things to enhance the capability on the continent. So that, you know, that's the main objective. And so, and the guy who runs that is a very good friend. And, you know, he's worked with Africans from just about most countries, most of the prominent countries, for lack of a better word, in Africa, South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, to name a few, and whether on the continent or here. So basically, that's his goal, to be able to network everybody. And you know, as far as collaboration, Sylvia said that's pretty much what we are doing now in Liberia. The students are not our students. We have this 40 staff and the students from different schools come there at different times during the day, during the week, and you know, and benefit from free resources. So no student is charged anything from the high schools that we work with. They all come and you know benefit from the hour of being there. And we are hoping that we can continue to scale what we are doing by through more collaboration, you know, whether at that level or some other level. So right now we are talking to another group in Liberia called the Tribe, but their main goal is to work with high school students to give them some entrepreneurial skills, you know. So basically our point of synergy there is for them to come in and work with our students to think about how they can make themselves employable or become employers themselves to be able to fund themselves after they graduate high school. So there's always room for collaboration, and you know, again, no man is an island. So we welcome collaboration because you know a concerted effort is what's going to get the job done.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, all right. So, any last word, you guys? We got 15 minutes to go. Mr. and Dr. Bowley, we have to go. We were here, supposed to be here for an hour. We're here now for an hour. So if anybody out there has an addition, want to add your voice, you have the phone number. It's 770-355-9094. 770-355-9094. We also pin down their information. Visit Institute of Visit Technology is also pinned at the bottom. So, Mr. Bowley, how do the public contact you?
Yeah, so they can send us an email directly at my first initial, Ara Boley, Bollie, at Institute of Basic Technology.com, or sorry, once again, is Ara Boley at Institute of Basic Technology.org, or better still, they can visit our website. You will find the contact information there for here and in Liberia is www.institutebasictechnology.org. There's no off in the web address. It's institutebasictechnology.org.
So let me get this. I'm going to play this really quickly. I love this. Just to add up to what Mr. Bowley has said, women education, and I will have Dr. Bowley.
Recently through Africa and the Middle East. Every country that you go became aware of in my traveling recently through Africa and the Middle East. In every country that you go to, usually the degree of progress can never be separated from the woman. If you're in a country that's progressive, the woman is progressive. If you're in a country that reflects a consciousness toward the importance of education, it's because the woman is aware of the importance of education. But in every backward country, you'll find the women are backward. And in every country where education is not stressed, it's because the women don't have education. So one of the things I became thoroughly convinced of in my recent travels is the importance of giving freedom to the woman, giving her education, and giving her the incentive to get out.
That was Malcolm X, and he came way before his time. All right. So Dr. Bowley, I want you to respond to that. Just add your voice to that, please. Can you hear me?
I mean, yes, I can. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, part of you can't hear me? Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting that he talked about the Middle East because when I was doing the qualitative analysis for LU back then, one of a lot of the data I saw came from like Afghanistan and other Iraq, other post-war societies. And that's some of what they saw, that when the girls were educated, it really helped to advance the society even more in a post-war state. So a lot of times, unfortunately, I think historically women have been looked at, oh, we don't need to educate the girls, we don't need to, they're not as smart or they're not as talented. But I think society and the data is showing that that is not true. And you, yeah, I am, my sister, our mothers, like, are living proof that you need to have that. Education does help, not just in that immediate family, but also advance the society as a whole. So I, like you said, I think he was before his time, but that's what our data has shown. And for those that are listening who are thinking or may have relatives saying, oh, well, our daughters don't need to go to school, or focus on getting married, focus on that. I think you can have all of that. You can be married, you can have children, you can be a professional. I have 2 kids, I work full time, I got so you can have all of it at the same time too. So one does not exclude the other, and that it's very important just for not just the current generation, but for the generations to come. Because, and I think that women bring a special talent, a special air, a feeling to any professional space, any environment, because of just who we are. We'll bring that with us too.
Thank you so much. Mr. Bowley, talk to us. You have a few things you wanted to echo. This is your area, and we'd love to have you back here on the platform with another team of Liberians who are also touching the ground. How do how do people contact you? How is this finance? Let's talk about financing, because I'm not sure how is this finance. So let's talk about how, because you just told us everything is free, right? And I know you guys are young. The both of you are young, yeah. A young family, working family. So how are you giving back and you're doing all of this? And because you just told us it's free, they come free, you give them food, you provide sanitary material for them to make sure that they're healthy, and you watch them and you give them at a lunch something to keep them up. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think so it can fundamentally it's an act of sacrifice. You have to be ready, wanting to do it, for you to do it, because there are days when you question whether it's the right thing to do. So you have to really be in it for the long. You have to be in it for the long haul. But also I would say we've had a lot of good friends and families who have stood with us from time to time and donated. I could tell stories of people who have been helpful in helping us, and but for the most part, it has been largely financed by us, essentially, so we make the sacrifice for the upkeep of the property, paying the staff, wow, making sure we have everything we need. For the most part, it remains largely financed by us, but we also been blessed to have friends who gave from time to time, through various means.
Yeah. Yeah, we so it started out with us and we still for the most part maintain it, but that's why I think, again, partnership and collaboration is important, because to make it grow, to make it sustainable, we know it won't just be through us. We've been blessed with some with donations, like for instance, Des gave us, and what's Des' last name? I'm so embarrassed. Okay, but we had a big donation that enabled us to get our van that we used, because transportation was one of the limitations that we had early on with the students. Some of our students were walking as far as 45 minutes to the lab, and that was eating into their time of education. And even some of our staff members were coming from very far, having to take multiple cars to get there. So we were blessed to be able to get with a large donation that enabled us to get a van. So also a very good family friend who was also instrumental in Rodney Cumming. The Creckies, and I'm calling out people. I know they're very modest people, but I mean, they've been so good to us. And so their son unfortunately passed away. And one of the things they did in his honor was to collect all the donations that were done in his name, and we were able to open our literary center with that large donation.
Wow.
And then of course our family, our friends, our mothers, our sisters, our aunts, they have been very kind. We do a drive twice a year for Giving Tuesday. We usually will do a drive, and friends and family have donated to that as well. So, but our goal is not just, for us to have the glory, say we are the ones giving the money, but we really do welcome partnership because it will allow it to grow and to expand beyond us. And like we said, the vision is for it to be in all of Liberia, from the, top to the bottom, not just in Monrovia. And that's going to take a lot to do that.
And so I would just, and it's good that you brought that up. And again, it goes back to collaboration, right? Because even though we funded largely out of ourselves, but we have all of these people on whose shoulders we are standing, from, a good friend who provided us our shuttle bus that we use to transport students and staff, to our good friends, the Creckies, opening up that center, and we are a federally recognized 501c3 within the United States. So every donation, at least giving here, is tax deductible, and we are also fully registered in Liberia. I don't think they do tax.
Okay. Do you hold on 1 second? I have a caller, and a lot of calls are coming in because you guys have like 4 minutes. Caller from Minnesota, please. Please hold on. Please take your call. Somebody else is calling.
Hello, this is Grace. I'm actually in Dallas.
Oh, Grace, hi.
Yes. Hi, and I want to congratulate the couple over the very young couple. Thank you so much for what you're doing in Liberia. And I'm so excited.
Thank you.
It's a joyful thing to see Liberia going back to give back in the area in which they function best. I love that you guys. I love that you guys are collecting data, and I'm sure the data that you guys are collecting will be helpful also for the collaboration. Some of us want to do some things, and maybe you guys already may have the information, like you were talking about collaboration. The collaboration that you were doing, are you specifically talking about collaboration in what you are doing? Specifically, you guys are in the science and technology field, right?
Right.
Or are you looking at the overall aspect of
STEM,
of math and arts and stuff like that? Are you looking at the overall, or are you just looking in the field of science and technology?
I think there. Go ahead, Dee, and Doc. She wants to know if you're only in the field of science and technology, but you're in the whole area of, and you're even teaching English now and comprehension. So go ahead and elaborate on that. Can you hear?
No.
The phone is stalled. Hold on, the bandwidth is a little low. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we're not hearing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, Grace, I will post the number and you can contact them.
She can hear us. She can hear them.
Okay.
She can hear them.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Can you hear us now?
We can hear you now. Yes.
Yeah, you can hear us. Or contact us, and then
yes, ma'am.
we can talk because because we have, we have the Literary Center. One of the things we are hoping to expand is to actually create a career pathway and come up with jobs after they leave our institution. So that's what I mean with collaboration. We can grow, and it doesn't have to be limited to STEM.
Right, and now let me add this. I think one of the misconceptions when people hear STEM, the only thing about all of the sciences, but the subject of
Exactly.
there, it supports just about everything. So in this case, we have most of the students, almost 80% of the students coming into the program. 80% of the students coming into the program, for example, hadn't even touched a computer before. So we had Elijah who wanted to be a writer. He came to our lab, and through that, learning how to type, learning how to interact with the computer, Elijah has written his first book. So not everybody coming through there will end up in the sciences, but at least they will have the basics they need to go wherever they want to go and create different things. So that's basically what it is. But STEM is not limiting. It empowers the student to branch out into wherever they want to go.
Thank you, Mr. Bully. Caller, you have 1 minute. What is your thought? What's your input?
Hello, my name is Newton. I'm calling from Philadelphia. Your topic is very, very good. I really been waiting for this topic for a long time. I had a school in Liberia. I built a school in Liberia. I have 590 some more students. And the topic that you're talking about, do you guys have a school, or you guys just, go to other school and do this project that you've been talking about?
Okay, thank you so much, Grace. Y'all want to answer that quickly? I think they elaborated on that earlier. Maybe you can go back and watch the show, but let me just highlight, and maybe we can ask them back here in maybe a few months back, especially when they're doing the fundraiser. We can do that fundraiser live, and we can do a telethon. Okay, thank you, Grace. Thank you, Nita.
Oh,
Thank
that'll
you.
be fun.
Yeah,
So
ahead.
so we're not a school. So congratulations, Newton, first of all, on your school. That's amazing. So we are not a school. We are a support system to existing schools. So we are freestanding laboratory. So the students will come from their school to our building, which is in the Bamumba area in Sincor. So they will come to us and we partner with schools. So we have 6 schools we partner with that will come in and use the resources. The goal, like we said, is to be able to build something like this in every county or in every community, even where existing schools would even collaborate, come in together and work with each other in the laboratory setting, freestanding lab settings.
Thank you so much. I'm not going to take any more calls. What's your final thought? We didn't get enough of you guys, so we need to schedule a time because people are just coming in. People want to know. This is very informative, especially somebody who has done extensive feasibility study and is customizing. And they also show that our children, when they say our children fail, our children have not failed because they're incapable of learning. They have failed because they don't have the resources. And that's where it is. And you guys have just proved that based on. And maybe we can see how other people can get involved at a larger point, and the major stakeholders can be involved, because this is something that can shape the future of the country. So what your final thought, and hopefully you guys can come back. But let me do the circle before I know you gotta go. What was your overall thought of this platform? Now I gotta start asking back and getting feedback because I've been here yelling for too long. Yes, what's your overall impression of these platforms? And we're talking about education, STEM, and all of that, and women, yes, empowerment. Dr. Bully, I want to hear from you and Mr. Bully.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll let him go first. Go ahead.
So my impression, is it's a great platform. It's an elevated platform in terms of the how much it makes things that are below the surface bubbled up for the larger community. Just judging by where people are calling from and expressing interest. And I think that because sometimes we all sit in our various pockets, nobody knows what the other person's doing. And I think this platform provides a bridge wherein people can get to know what's happening in another part and what other Liberians are doing. Together, we can help to create the future of Liberia that we all dream and talk about.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having us. First, you know, I admire you anyway, because she's always the same person wherever she is, and very fabulous and humble and a wonderful wife, mother, wonderful person. So we are grateful for being on this platform with you. So thank you for having us and allowing us to share and highlighting the positive things in Liberia, especially at a time now where we need some encouragement, people need
Yes.
uplifting. I mean, COVID universally has just impacted everyone's life. So it's really helpful to just have some positive news, talk about what we can do instead of focusing on what we can't do and the things we can't control. Right. So thank you so much for that. So the final thought would just be that, you know, you, whoever you are watching, you have power, you have a voice, you have capability. It doesn't matter. Don't compare what you can do to somebody else. Just focus on what you can do. Arthur Ashe says, start where you can, do what you can do, use what you have. So use what you have to make a difference, to help someone. And even if that someone has to start with yourself, but just use it and to the best of your ability. And we look forward to hearing. We're grateful for the opportunity to just be with other Liberians and other people in the diaspora, and we look forward to hearing from people and seeing what we can do to work together. So thank you so much, y'all. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much, Mr. and Dr. Boley. Guys, let me say before you go, I know you gotta go. I'm watching here, right? I'm literally listening but not observing. I love you guys. You're wonderful. This is the look of love. I'm sorry. Without giving back, this is just, oh my God. Oh my God. So no, you guys are brilliant example of what love could look like in our community. You see these two young people? I've been observing since they've been here all this while. Yes, Liberia, you can look like this. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. We'll talk after. Bye-bye. Bye. Thank you guys. Wow.